Hey everybody, this is Scott Koyman with the Klaus Team and Your Community Connection, and we have here District 6 Council Member Kevin Thompson. How you doing, Kevin?
Doing good, Scott. Thank you.
So, 8 years, you're now termed out, and you're on your way to the Corporation Commission. But I wanted to make sure that we spent a little bit of time just talking about how different things are, because you came on in what year?
2015.
2015. And at that point, we were just getting started with transforming the Mesa Proving Grounds into Eastmark. I don't think if somebody came around in 2015 and started driving around, what happened out here? So let's talk about some of the really great things that have happened.
Sure. Yeah. So when I remember when I was out walking, gathering signatures back in 2014 when I was running. I didn't even knock doors in Eastmark because all that was there was like 4 or 5 model homes and maybe 20 families. And so I didn't even knock doors there. Bella Villa was still being built out. And so everything to the south really of Ray Road hadn't been built at the time. They were just starting to break ground out there. And so, fast forward to today and it's been crazy. I mean, it's, we were coming out of a recession back in 2015, and I remember at the time, we had a parks bond that had been passed in 2014 at the same time when I was elected, and our general fund hadn't recovered to the point to where we could build new parks and maintain them, and so we ended up shifting a lot of those park dollars over to Pioneer Park to put new equipment in there, and also to some other parks to upgrade their equipment. Because we just couldn't afford to maintain any new parks, and so we were just coming out of a recession. Nobody wanted to build. Nobody was willing to stick a shovel in the dirt. And one little company called Euro Contempo took a chance out on Ray Road and stuck a shovel in and broke ground, and it hasn't stopped.
No, no, and in fact, you used to be able to see some of the cool airplanes just by driving by on the 202.
Yeah.
And now it's, the Super Guppy and other planes will come in, and Antonovs, and oh, cool, go see them. No, you actually have to go see them now.
Yeah, now you actually have to go to the viewing point at the airport over by their admin building to actually see.
Yeah, that area has grown immensely. We think about Southern on the south end. We really just had the hospital. And now it's pretty solid, and there's still a lot more things in development.
There are, and it was it's an exciting time. I mean, when I first ran, in fact, both times that I ran for city council, I ran on the platform of public safety and jobs. Because again, we were just coming out of a recession. We had a lot of our citizens that had gotten laid off from their jobs, and I wanted to take the opportunity to bring jobs into Mesa. I was tired of getting up every morning and seeing, the mass exodus of cars leaving Mesa, going to Scottsdale and Phoenix and Glendale and Chandler and Tempe, going to these other communities where the jobs were. And I said, why can't we have our jobs here in Mesa and keep our citizens in Mesa so that you can literally live, work, and play right here? And so that's why, what I really strove to do and set that vision for our economic development department and planning and zoning. And so what you're seeing take place now, it only took almost 8 years to get there, but what you're seeing now is the fruit of that labor of setting the vision, setting the tone, and bringing in those manufacturing companies. And so everything that you see really north of the airport, whether it's Elliott Road or along Ellsworth, they're all manufacturing. I think there was maybe one logistics that snuck in there. But we tried to push all the logistics south of the airport so that they have better access to the airport and not so much integrating a lot of truck traffic into our neighborhoods. And so we really tried to be intentional on how we developed and how we grew, and but the vision has always been to bring jobs to our community for our citizens.
And it looks like we've got more of that to the east of the interchange as well.
Right.
All popping up, and let's talk about south of the power lines. When you came on the council, there was pretty much nothing. There was a couple little spot parks there along Elliott in the retention basins where people can play soccer. But other than that, we really didn't see anything south of the power lines.
Right.
So let's talk about what's coming and what we have in place with the Elliott Tech Corridor.
Sure. So when I first got on council, one of the first things I started doing is meeting with the site selectors. So you'd have people, these site selectors coming in from California and from other areas and looking at a location for a company that was relocating. And so I would I'd go out to dinner with them, I'd go out to lunch with them, I'd grab coffee with them, and really quiz them on what they liked about Mesa and what they didn't like. And every single one of them, the reoccurring theme that I heard over and over was we love Mesa, we love the community, we love the fact that you have all the infrastructure in place, but I really can't, I can't bring a client in, exit off the 202 onto Elliott, and you just have this little dirt road that goes through the desert. I can't, it doesn't look like a finished product. And so I instantly started meeting with the property owners along Elliott Road, both on the north and south side, and asked if they would contribute right away if we were to expand Elliott Road. And every single one of them said yes, because it'll help us market our land better. And so I went back to the city manager. We diverted funds from Pecos Road, because at the time Pecos didn't need to be widened. Yep. And so we took the money from Pecos and put it towards Elliott Road, and we widened out Elliott Road. And so
not only widened it, but it's no longer a roller coaster.
It's no longer a roller coaster.
If you're new to the area, Elliott just was one of those, picture out in the middle of nowhere desert road with just those peaks and valleys all over the place. And now it's nice and wide, and it took a little while.
It took a little while, yeah. Well, and it seems like we're still, the perpetual construction out there, whether it's Signal Butte or Elliott.
That's Arizona.
Yeah, it's Arizona, but it's what we've tried to do is match a lot of our pavement, and that's why you see a lot of the construction. We just did some construction on Signal Butte last week. I didn't find out until late notice, and I tried to send it out to the community. That'll be impacted, but really what we were trying to do is match pavement so that in 3 to 5 years, when it comes time to redo, we can redo all of it at one time instead of having the perpetual construction all the time. So that was what we're trying to accomplish there. But yeah, it was, we had very little on Elliott Road when I first started. We had Apple.
So Apple had already come in at that point.
Well, it was the GT, I think it was. They were there to build the sapphire glass for Apple for the phones.
And before that, it was going to be First Solar.
Yeah, before that, it was going to be First Solar, and so that didn't go to fruition. And then Apple bought it and handed the keys over to their contractor to build the sapphire glass. They couldn't get their mixture right, so they went out of business and folded. And then Apple came in and made it a data center.
Spent a little bit of money there.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, it was, in the 8 years that I've been on council, we brought in over $80 billion just in capital capital expenses, whether that's land and going vertical, not including any permit fees. I mean, there's probably another 20 to 30 million in permitting fees and stuff, construction fees, but over 5,000 jobs and $80 billion of CapEx is big for our community, because that helps lower our secondary property tax. So it gives us more money to spread across, and therefore lowers our rates.
And we've got some big players along the tech corridor. We've got some companies, sizable companies, but it's not household names. Right. A lot of these cloud companies, but some big ones. We got Apple. We've got Amazon's just rolling in now. I know Google is going to bookend that over there at Sossaman. And then Meta. Right. At Ellsworth and Elliott.
Yeah, it was. I've never been a big fan of data centers, but from a marketing standpoint, it's about building your brand. And when you have some of the top 50 companies that are building in Mesa, it kind of wakes people up and goes, what's going on in Mesa? And so you're seeing a lot of the fruits of that labor, where we did a lot of work to try to capture some of these top brands, bring them to Mesa, and then sit back.
As the brands came in, it became a magnet, very much like happened with Chandler is we just saw along, in their tech areas, the bigger names came in, it attracted more. And, I don't think that people are aware of how many tech firms are in Chandler and Mesa.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. And, I wanted to make sure we had a diversified portfolio of businesses, right? Because you don't want to just fill it full of data centers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so we were intentional again on trying to bring growth in. So we did bring the data centers in, but we also have Niagara Water, who's a huge part of our community. They provide so much water to the United Food Bank, as you know. They do a huge donation, like hundreds of pallets or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like truckloads of water that they bring in to donate, and they're pretty active in the community. And that's what we want, is businesses that are going to be good community partners. And so Niagara came in. We've also, when you look down towards the airport, we got Electromechanica, building electric vehicles. There's another company down there that builds the electronic parts for electric vehicles, for the engines and stuff. And so,
and we're seeing more aviation companies.
More aviation. And so we're seeing, it's running the gamut of things that are coming to Mesa. And it all started because we were trying to really market and brand Mesa as a technology hub. And you're starting to see the fruits of that labor.
And we're seeing a lot of improvement too with the 24. When we look back just a few years, Ellsworth, a lot better as we go south of Elliott than we had. And I don't recall in the past 8 years or so that it's been shut down during monsoons, but that just was the case before.
Right.
So it's neat to have a wide road, but also a road that continues through.
Right.
And we just see that we've gotten a big sports complex, a lot more activities to do, and D6 just continues to.
We have a lot of potential. I mean, there's a lot of things going. I think from the plans that I've seen for the company, the Pacific Proving Grounds is the owner of the property where Legacy is at, and so. Legacy is just leasing the space, but the company, the owner came in a couple of months ago and showed us the plans, what his plans are for everything from the 24 south to Legacy, down to the Williamsfield, that whole area. And I think the community will be really pleased with what he's wanting to bring. So he's looking at least one large brand name hotel, and then probably a secondary hotel that's still a brand name, but not as like a Hilton or Marriott, something of that nature. So you'd have the high end and then the medium end in there as well. Restaurants, retail, everything that you would need to make Legacy a destination location. And so it's going to be, I think it'll be really, really good for the community. And at the same time, the airport, on the airport side, on the east side west side of Ellsworth, but east side of the airport, they went out to RFP, the airport did, went out to request for proposal for a master plan. Yeah. And so you're going to see some restaurants and retail take place over there as well. I met with the Eastmark folks, and they're wanting to do a lot of like a sort of a Kierland Commons. They actually hired the architect and the developer for Kierland Commons, and did a proposal to the city for a Kierland Commons type look and feel for that northeast corner of Ray and Ellsworth. So you're going to see a lot of activity in the future. And obviously it'll be up to Scott Summers, Councilmember Summers, when he takes office to help guide that vision and make sure that we're doing what the community wants. And so I got a lot of high expectations for him. And,
we all do, yeah.
And so, but Mesa, in District 6, we have so much on the horizon, and I think we're sitting in a good place.
Well, thank you so much for all your years of service, and I know that as you move on to the Corporation Commission, you're still living here in D6, and we always appreciate your partnership, and you've done a great job of just letting us know what's up. You've been incredibly transparent and open to conversation throughout the time, and just appreciate all the work that you've done.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody.